This story will dedicate to a woman named Rosie. When I was 19, I moved from West Palm Beach in South Florida to a place an hour north, where at night, when I drive home, the cops pull me over because they think I'm either a junkie or a whore. Because people like me don't live there. But I'm there, and I get a job at a place called Gracie Fried Chicken on Main Street. And at this place, there's a woman, Rosie, my manager. And when I walk through those doors, she immediately is like, no, why are you here? And she hates me. But she makes my life hell, truly. I'm just taking an order, writing things down, and she comes up behind me and she smacks me in the back of the head, and it clacks my teeth together. And I'm like, I'm gonna fight this woman. And I turn around and I see her, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fight this woman. I'm gonna walk outside, I'm gonna smoke half a pack, I'm gonna go back in there because I need this job and I need this place that I'm in, that no one understands why I'm here. Because I can't tell her or anybody else that the reason I'm here is because the year before that, in West Palm Beach, I went through an exorcism where I was exorcised for being the teenage mistress of a missionary man and sent me back to the States with nothing when other people my age were in college. I was living in a 2-room house in West Palm with a bunch of other women who had also gone through this exorcism they call deliverance. But I got out of there and I moved to this strange little town, and she is terrifying to me, and yet I don't leave. And I feel like she starts to see this resilience in me. And there's this respect that starts building where she stops picking on me so much. And then one night, I sit down with a ginger ale and wait for the kitchen to finish closing the deep fryers and mop the back. And Rosie comes out and she sits down in front of me and she looks up at the ceiling. And she starts to tell me about her husband, Tom, and how when they first met each other and he proposed to her, he bought her a car and he said, Rosie, let's ride. And he took me to places where the trees turn colors because she'd never seen that before. And then she tells me about the time they're looking at the stars and he's like, Rosie, you seen the stars? And she's like, yeah, sure, I seen the stars. I see the stars right now. And he's like, nah. And he gets her a telescope. And at this point in the story, she looks at me and I can tell that she's wondering if I'm gonna stop her. And then she's like, well, one day he came home acting weird. And she tells me that first she thought it was weed, she thought it was funny. And then it was something different. He was paranoid, mean. He tells her he tried crack for the first time. She tells him she doesn't like that. He says he won't do it often. And then it keeps happening. He disappears for days at a time. She tells me about the time he stole $500 from their family. And then she tells me, so I took $500 and I bought clothes. And he says, Rosie, you bought $500 worth of clothes? And she says, yeah, you can see my clothes. You bought smoke. You can't see that. And I'm so proud of her for this. And she's making eye contact with me and she is wanting to share this with somebody. Trinity, their daughter, started screaming one night and he was so high that he just let her scream. And so Rosie, being Rosie, took Tom's gun, put it to Tom's chest, and said, get out of my house. She kicked him out. She tells me he died 1 year later. And then we sit in silence. And I look behind her head and I can see her car out the window, and I know it's not the car Tom bought her because it's scrap metal. And I don't think it would make it to the places where the trees turn color. And I don't think she has her telescope, and I know that her daughter and her mother live in a tiny house on the edge of town. I left there about 3 months later, and I moved to Portland, Oregon. I become a bartender, serving gin and tonics to white liberals who talk about the disenfranchised, about the migrant worker, about the single mother, and I believe that they want to help. But I also hear them talking about these people like they are just stories. And it's that, yeah, but I think about Rosie, about her personhood, about how, yeah, she is the image of this like fighting, strong mother who made it when everything went to shit. But I also think of her as a woman who fell in love with a man named Tom, who bought her a car and a telescope, and she was loved by him, and she told me about him in South Florida at Gracie Fried Chicken.